Hi everyone, I'm here to talk to you today about cockroaches, eggs on human tongues. Yes, I know it's hard to believe, but it does happen, and hopefully it does not happen to any of you or myself. Cockroaches and humans, they don't mix well, and we all know that. Whether it's when they're crawling around the house, outside, you try and squish them, they run away, or you squish them and they crunch or they fly into your hair. Most of the time, we try to stomp them to where they're dead and they don't come back alive, to where they go down the toilet and they never come back. Cockroaches, as we all know, they're not a human's best friend. Critters of these sorts do not tend to live very long. They usually live for about the average life of a mosquito, which is about 30 days if they're lucky. No, none of us will no longer look at cockroaches the same after you hear some of these urban legends I'm about to tell you about and the cockroach species itself. Today I want to share a little bit on this insect and let you decide whether this urban legend is true. The licking of envelopes can be somewhat hazardous to your health. You can develop paper cuts on your tongue, where you can possibly have a cockroach form inside of your tongue. It's kind of gross, isn't it? So I would possibly suggest using a wet sponge from here on out to seal your envelopes or your stamps. But most of our stamps these days do have the glue adhesive on the back, so you don't have to worry about that. And some envelopes have that as well. These urban legends that I'm about to talk about, there are two stories that are pretty similar. The first one is about a Virginia woman who was just licking her envelopes and she got a paper cut, went into the doctor. The doctor made a little incision on her tongue, and there comes a live cockroach. Supposedly, the envelopes that she was licking had egg larvae on them, and that's how she got the paper cut. They got in there, and it hatched an egg. The second one is of a woman in California. She was a United States Postal Service worker. Instead of using a wet sponge like I suggested before, she licked the envelopes and the stamps and got a paper cut. Both of these stories actually took place in January of 2000. When she received the paper cut, she went into the hospital. The doctor didn't see any swelling or soreness of the tongue. She wasn't really complaining. It just hurt just a little bit, but it wasn't very tender like a normal sore would hurt, like a canker sore or anything of that sort. But she went in about a week later, and with swelling and soreness on her tongue, the doctor still didn't see anything, and so he took an x-ray because she was refusing to go anywhere without him doing something. So they took an x-ray of the tongue. He saw that something might possibly be in there. He did a little minor surgery, and voila, what happens? A cockroach comes out again. It just unbelievable, blows my mind. So how can this happen? Well, because there are possible egg larvae from cockroaches in the boxes that the envelopes and stamps come in. They're ugly little critters, but they are most likely not going to survive out of their mother's womb, which is also called an ootheca. Um, Once they are in their mother's womb and they hatch is when they're released from their mom, and this can be anywhere from 30 to hundreds of little itty bitty cockroaches. So what should we do to prevent that? And well, it's sanitation at its best. They love warmth and moisture, and here in Florida, of course, that's kind of hard to do because it's so humid down here. So as far as cleaning up around the kitchen, crumbs, just the tiniest little crumb can feed multiple cockroaches. So try and clean up your mess a little bit before you go to bed. So, what about this urban legend do you think it's true or do you think it's false? Well, this urban legend is false. My purpose, of course, in giving this speech was hopefully to persuade you that yes, this can be possibly true, but then again, not. You can't always believe what you hear or read on the internet these days, especially with the internet. There's so much information out there. So I'm going to leave it at this. What do you think of eating a chocolate covered cockroach?